While you're settling down, it's a good time to remind you to turn in your card if you have not done so already for the Credential Committee. Diet Mountain Dew, the official drink of the Vice Moderator and the Moderator of this year's General Assembly. All right, I think we're ready to call this year's business meeting into order. So thank you all for being here. I would like to call on Reverend Fabian Flores from Cauca Valley to open our meeting today in prayer.
Señor moderador,
Mr. Moderator,
el Espíritu de Dios
the Spirit of God
está sobre usted
is upon you
para guiar este pueblo.
to guide this people.
Isaías 54
Isaiah 54,
te habla lengua de sabios,
that he gives wisdom to the tongue,
pero también oído de sabio
but also
para escuchar
wise ears to hear
y poder dirigir
and to direct
en la presencia del Señor.
the presence of the Lord.
Oremos.
Let's pray.
Padre, te damos gracias
Lord, we give you thanks
en el nombre que es sobre todo nombre,
in the name that is above all
en el
names,
nombre de Jesús.
in the name of Jesus.
Damos gracias por tu siervo,
We thank you for your servant.
damos gracias por su esposa
We thank you for his wife.
y damos gracias
And we thank you
por esta honorable asamblea.
for this honorable assembly.
Pedimos tu favor,
We ask your favor,
tu dirección y bendición,
your direction and blessing.
y gracias
And thank you
por darnos
for giving
el
us
privilegio
the privilege
de estar delante de ti.
to be before you.
Tu misericordia está sobre nosotros.
Your mercy is upon us.
Gracias,
Thank you,
porque somos inmerecedores
because we don't deserve
de
it,
tanto amor,
of so much
de
love,
tanta bondad.
of so much grace and
Gracias,
goodness.
Padre.
Thank you, Father.
En tus manos colocamos
In your name we place
nuestras familias
our families
y a todos aquellos
and all of us
que están delante de ti.
that are before you.
Toma el control
Take control
de esta asamblea, Señor,
of this
y
assembly,
que tu Espíritu Santo
and may your spirit
sea el que se mueva
be the one that
en
moves
cada corazón
in each heart
y que direccione
and that directs
cada una de las mociones,
each of the motions,
recomendaciones
recommendations
que aquí se aprueben,
that are
y
here,
que cuando lleguen
that when they
a su
come
destino
to its
sean
destination
recibidas
will be received
para la gloria
to the glory
y honra de tu nombre.
and honor of your name.
En Cristo Jesús.
In Jesus Christ's name,
Amén
amen.
y amén, Señor.
At this time, I'd like to invite our stated clerk, Reverend Michael Sharp, to come forward as he has a special presentation to our former moderator.
This time I'd like to invite Reverend Johnny Montano to the podium, please. Johnny, on behalf of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, I'd like to express our heartfelt thanks and gratitude for all the travel for all the visits to presbytery meetings, denominational meetings, and even presiding over an additional called meeting of the General Assembly in January. I know that's taken you away from your home for months at a time and weeks at a time, and you have served as moderator of the denomination with a servant heart and with a pastoral leadership gifts that have been a blessing to the church and all who have experienced your presence and your spirit in their midst. So on behalf of the denomination, I want to present you with a small token of appreciation. We'd like to present you with a replica gavel and moderator's cross commemorating your service as moderator of the 194th General Assembly of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church. Thank you so much. Continued blessings on you and your family and your ministry. Thank you. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias por esta oportunidad.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Me siento un poco libre.
I feel free.
Pero quiero seguir trabajando para el Señor y por esta
I
denominación.
want to continue working for the Lord in this denomination.
Los dones, los talentos y las capacidades que Dios me ha dado
The gifts, the talents the Lord has given me
están al servicio de ustedes y para lo que necesiten estoy listo.
are at your service and whatever you need.
Cuenten con un embajador de la denominación en Colombia y en Sudamérica.
You can count with an ambassador of the denomination in Colombia and South America.
Dios los bendiga.
God bless you.
Just a few quick announcements and reminders before we begin our business session. First, as the votes being taken on different reports, the moderator will invite the YADs to vote first on any item of business, and then we'll check with the translators for the readiness of the international commissioners to vote, and then proceed to vote as an assembly. Just a reminder, as commissioners and YADs, if you wish to address the assembly, remind you to move to one of the microphones in the front to address the moderator at that time. Identify yourself by your name and the presbytery that you represent. If you have any motions that you are planning to make during the business session, please write those down and submit them to the engrossing clerk after you've made that motion on the floor before returning to your seat. When it's time for your committees to make their presentation and to when their report is being considered, the committee will be invited to have a seat in the chairs up here and in front. Those reading those reports will just need to read the referral section and the persons of counsel section, followed by the recommendations or any preamble or rationale for that recommendation that may be in order. Do want to take this moment before we begin the business to give a kudos and a big round of appreciation to the Arkansas Host Committee. If you're in here, will you stand? They have done a great job. They started working on this assembly last fall and have been working almost monthly and almost more often than that in between those monthly meetings to make sure everything was in order, and they've done a great job, so thank you for that. If you need a shuttle to the airport, please contact the host committee before noon today so they make sure that those arrangements are in order for you. Again, thank you for your work this week. All the committees functioned great, and the YADs were magnificent, and so we thank you for all of your gifts and leaderships that you have shared within that work of your committee.
Just another recognition I would like to make this morning. For the past year, Reverend Jonathan Castellanos and Reverend Dr. David Montoyo, they have worked tirelessly with Reverend Johnny Montoyo to help translate, and you saw them in action on Monday and throughout the week, and then if you were here last year, you saw what they did. I would just like them to stand and be recognized, and give them a round of applause. And thanks for their work as well. Milton Ortiz, yes. Thank you. At this time, I'd also like to appoint as our parliamentarian Reverend Corey Cummings. He's a representative here this week from the Permanent Judiciary Committee. He's a longtime friend and really the smartest person I know. No offense to anybody else here in this room, but I thank him for his service. Welcome Mr. Jamie Jordan here as well, and value his input on things also. But thank Corey for his opportunity to be here and serve as our parliamentarian. All right, I think we're ready to go to our reports now. So you have your packets, and our first report we'll be hearing from is the Bethel and Cumberland Youth and Family Services. So if you served on that committee, I would invite you to come and take your place in the seats over here to my left, your right, and we'll hear from that committee. I would remind you as this committee comes forward, when we're making motions from the floor, when the committee presents their report, and if they have any recommendations that come from a committee, they do not need a second, as it's coming from a committee. That's serves as a second in itself. But when we get into the business and you're making amendments and seconds from the floor and that motions from the floor and that type of thing, those would need a second. So just some parliamentary procedure type things there. Reverend Oliver, if you present your report.
Mr. Moderator, it is a privilege and a pleasure to serve with this wonderful committee. I enjoyed it so much, and the leadership that the YADS provided was outstanding, and I would be remiss if I didn't say a few good words about that. We also enjoyed hearing from the representatives from Bethel and the Children's Home. See, I did it. Cumberland Youth and Family Services is the title, and it will forever be the Children's Home in my memory and heart. They serve children, and that's also important too. All right, without further ado, I'm going to ask the YADS to come forward, and they will read the entirety of the report because I didn't tell them just to read part of it. So it's a short report. It won't take long. Thank you so much.
All right, pleasure to meet you all. My name is Mateo. I work for the Emmaus Presbytery. And what I have to read from the report, it's the referrals and the persons of council. So the referrals to this committee are as follows: the report of Board of Trustees of Bethel University and the report of the Cumberland Youth and Family Services. Thank you. Yeah, much better. Thank you. And the second, persons of council. Appearing before this committee were Courtney Benetowski, Director of the Cumberland Youth and Family Services, Jennifer Jenkins, Senior Director of Development of CYFS, Brian Martin, Board Chair, also CYFS, Dr. Perry Moltz in Bethel University, President, and Nancy Bean, Board Chair at Bethel University.
That's okay. Yes, thank you. I'm Riley McAdams. I'm a part of Cornerstone Presbytery. And upon receiving the report and hearing discussion from the representatives of Cumberland Youth and Family Services, the committee commends the work, support, and care of the lives of children and families. The committee wishes to highlight these incredible things that have happened. 20 children have been placed in adoptive homes in less than 2 years. Support is provided to 18 through 22-year-olds who have aged out of the foster care program in the supervised independent living program, keeping these at-risk young people safe, providing support so that they can become successful and independent. They have gone from 16 children on campus daily to 65 residents. They hope to expand services to rural counties beyond the current service area. The committee wishes to express great appreciation to Brian Martin and Gwen Tyus for their service on the Board of Trustees for 9 years. We appreciate their dedication and commitment. August 22nd, 2027 marks the 123rd year of service of Cumberland Youth and Family Services. In the past, Children's Home Sunday has been included in the denominational calendar on the third Sunday in August. It is not currently included on the calendar as published in the report of the stated clerk. As a request of Cumberland Youth and Family Services, the committee would like it reinstated. Recommendation 1, that the denomination designate August 22nd, 2027 as Cumberland Youth and Family Services Sunday and add it to the denominational calendar.
Rebecca Davis, Presbytery Del Cristo. Upon receiving the report and hearing discussion from the representatives of Bethel University, the committee commends the professionalism and dedication to higher education provided by Bethel University. The committee wishes to recognize these accomplishments. NAIA Champions of Character 5-Star Institution Award. 41 countries are represented in the student body. Applications are up to 60%, and new enrollments are up by 50%. Acceptance rate is 90%. 42 degrees are offered. They recently adopted a strategic plan named Vision 2030. Recommendation 2, that recommendation 1 of the report of the Board of Trustees of Bethel University, that the General Assembly share Bethel University's mission and ask presbyteries worldwide to support the university in its prayers, financial offerings, and in recommending students, be adopted. As the committee adjourned, a special prayer was offered for the ministries of Cumberland Youth and Family Services and Bethel University. Respectfully submitted, Bethel Cumberland Youth and Family Services Committee.
See what I mean? Mr. Moderator, I move that the report be concurred in and the recommendations adopted.
Thank you. You now have the report before you, and the motion's been made. Is there any discussion?
Second.
And yeah. Any discussion? Questions for the committee? Hearing none, are we ready to vote? Yads, all in favor of receiving this report and adopting its recommendations, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? International delegates, are we ready to vote, proceed to vote? See? So, commissioners, delegates, all in favor of receiving this report and adopting its recommendations, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The motion carries. Thank you, committee, for your work and your dedication this week, and you may go back to your seats. Our next report will be from the Chaplains and Historical Foundation. At this time, I'd like to ask our vice moderator to assume the chair, as I am on this committee, and she will be our moderator for this report.
Madam Moderator, brothers and sisters of the Assembly, good morning. I am Mo Ottinger, Elder Commissioner of Robert Donald Presbytery, and was thankful to serve as chair, along with co-chair Reverend Daniel Barkley, of our Chaplains and Historical Foundation Committee. Since it's not in our prepared, I'll go ahead and quickly give you the referrals. The referrals to this committee were as follows: the report of the Board of Trustees of the Historical Foundation and the report of the Commission on Federal Chaplains. As chair, I took the prerogative of giving our opening devotional, during which I said that one of the reasons I am glad I am now a Cumberland Presbyterian is that we believe the prophet Joel and the apostle Peter meant it when they said that God's Holy Spirit would cause our sons and our daughters to prophesy. As God blessed Philip with 4 daughters who prophesied, he has blessed our committee with 4 of your daughters as youth advisory delegates. Per our tradition, they will present our report, while per protocol, they will each introduce themselves. We are so proud of them, I will now introduce them all in order of presentation. Miss Esther Davis, Del Cristo Presbytery. Miss Kylie Dembo, Red River Presbytery. Miss Miley Dye, North Central Presbytery. Miss Cheyenne Bice, Grace Presbytery.
Esther Davis, Youth Advisory Delegate from Del Cristo Presbytery. Appearing before the committee were Chaplain Dennis Heisem, Director Presbyterian Federal Chaplaincies, Dr. Tommy Craig, Representative General Assembly Commission on Federal Chaplaincies, Ms. Susan Knight Gore, Archivist Historical Foundation, and Ms. Kathy Littlefield, Historical Foundation Board Representative. The committee appreciated the report from and the opportunity to speak with Chaplain Heisem and Dr. Craig of the Commission of Federal Chaplaincies. They are pleased with CP efforts, and the committee is pleased with their efforts as covered in more detail in our report. Thank you.
Kylie Dembo, representing Red River Presbytery. Recommendation 1, that recommendation 1 of the report of Commission of Federal Chaplains, that each USA Cumberland Presbyterian Church be encouraged to continue providing an opportunity for their congregations to receive an offering on the last Sunday of May or another special day to support our ministry through PFC be adopted. Recommendation 2 includes the Cumberland Presbyterian Church in America. The Cumberland Presbyterian Church can only make recommendations for itself, not another denomination. Recommendation 2, that recommendation 2 of the report of the Commission of Federal Chaplains, that congregations of both Cumberland Presbyterian Church and the Cumberland Presbyterian Church in America encourage their individual churches and members in the United States to designate special days through the year to engage in prayer, to hold up the chaplains and their families in service, to which they be endorsed, be denied.
Miley Dye from North Central Presbytery. Recommendation 3 is that the presbyteries of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church in the United States encourage their churches and members to designate special days throughout the year to engage in prayer, to hold up the chaplains and their families in the service to which they have been endorsed. And then recommendation 4 is that recommendation 3 of the report of the Commission on Federal Chaplains that presbyteries and congregations be encouraged to make special efforts to communicate with those members serving as chaplains from their presbytery or congregation be adopted.
I'm Cheyenne Bice from Grace Presbytery, and the committee appreciated the report from an opportunity to hear from Ms. Gore and Ms. Littlefield of the Board of Trustees of the Historical Foundation and is pleased with the efforts underway as covered in more detail in our report. The report was received and concurred, and there were no recommendations.
Daniel Barkley from Grace Presbytery. Madam Moderator, I move that our report be concurred in and its recommendations adopted.
The report, you have the report in completion before you. The motion's been made to receive the report and concur in the, okay, and is there any discussion? Hearing none, are we ready to vote? Yads, are you ready to vote? Are our international delegates ready to vote? Okay. All in favor? Please say so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. The next report we will hear will be the report of the Committee on Stewardship, Our United Outreach, elected officers, and I'll invite our moderator to return to the podium.
Mr. Moderator, Reverend Jeff Stovall, Nashville Presbytery. I just want to address real quick, love this bunch. We shared our stories and about to cry. Awesome bunch of people. We sang, we didn't dance, but we got through our work and love each and every one of them. And anyhow, they're going to present the report today, and we're going to do it a little bit different, so just hang in there.
All right.
Good morning. I'm Olivia Underwood, representing Hope Presbytery. Referrals to this committee are as follows. The report of the moderator, the report of the stated clerk, the report of the Board of Stewardship, Foundation, and Benefits, the report of the Our United Outreach Committee, the report of the Place of Meeting Committee, and the 2025-2026 line item budget submitted by the General Assembly boards and entities. Appearing before this committee were Reverend Jeff McMichael, our United Outreach Development Director, and Representative Elder Michael Davis, our United Outreach Committee, Reverend Robert Heflin, Executive Secretary, Reverend Dr. Brittany Meeks, Administrative Assistant and Coordinator of Benefits, Board of Stewardship, Foundation, and Benefits, Moderator Johnny Montano, and Stated Clerk Mike Sharp.
Andrea Mesa, Presbiterio de los Andes. Recomendación 1. Que se adopte la recomendación 1 del informe del secretario permanente. Que cada presbiterio recuerde a las iglesias la importancia de presentar los informes anuales y trabaje con aquellas iglesias que puedan necesitar asistencia para completar dicho informe. Las congregaciones que no presenten un informe anual durante 3 años consecutivos tendrán un 0 reportado en la columna de membresía activa del anuario.
Ashlyn McLean, Cornerstone Presbytery. Recommendation 1, that recommendation 1 of the report of the stated clerk, that each presbytery remind churches of the importance of submitting annual reports and to work with churches that might need assistance in completing the report. Congregations that do not submit an annual report for 3 consecutive years will have a 0 reported in the active membership column of the yearbook be adopted.
Soy Ruby Micolta del Presbiterio del Valle del Cauca. Recomendación 2. Que se adopte la recomendación 2 del informe del secretario permanente que la Asamblea General número 195 apruebe las siguientes fechas para el calendario eclesiástico 2026-2027.
Recommendation 2, that recommendation 2 of the report of the stated clerk that the 195th General Assembly approve the following dates for the 2026-2027 church calendar.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Fabián Flores, pertenezco al Presbiterio del Valle del Cauca. Recomendación 3, que la recomendación 1 del informe de la Junta de Mayordomía, Fundación y Beneficios, que todas las congregaciones animen y apoyen a sus ministros y al personal de la Iglesia para establecer una cuenta de jubilación sea adaptada.
Jerry Sperling, Covenant Presbytery. Recommendation 3, that recommendation 1 of the report of the Board of Stewardship, Foundation and Benefits, that all congregations encourage and support their ministers and church staff to establish a retirement account, be adopted.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Leticia Ceballos del Presbiterio del Valle del Cauca. Recomendación 4, que la recomendación 2 del informe de la Junta de Mayordomía, Fundación y Beneficios, que todos los presbiterios determinen si un pastor jubilado o su cónyuge podrían beneficiarse del programa de ayuda ministerial presbiteriana Cumberland y trabajen con el personal de la Junta para ayudar a las personas calificadas a inscribirse en el programa sea adoptada.
Recommendation 4, that recommendation 2 of the Board of the Stewardship, Foundation and Benefits, that all presbyteries determine if a retired pastor or spouse could benefit from the Cumberland Presbyterian Ministerial Aid Program and work with the board staff in assisting qualified people to enroll in the program, be adopted.
Buenos días, soy Mercedes del Real del Presbiterio del Valle del Cauca. Recomendación 5, que se adopte la recomendación 1 del informe del Comité Nuestro Esfuerzo Unido, que la Asamblea General adopte la siguiente meta y distribución de nuestro esfuerzo unido para 2027. Monto a distribuir $2.400.000.
J.C. Stark, Missouri Presbytery. Recommendation 5, that recommendation 1 of the report of the Our United Outreach Committee that General Assembly adopt the following Our United Outreach goal and allocations for 2027. Amount to be allocated, $2.4 million.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the report be accepted and its recommendations adopted. I believe that's right, no?
Yeah, yes, that's good. Thank you. All right, you have the report before you. Is there any discussion?
let me begin by making a kind of general comment, and that is that some things that may seem very simple and clear may have unintended consequences. And so we need to be very careful to note all these changes. While I recognize the frustration of the stated clerk and the church as a whole, of those churches that do not submit forms, I want to look at both sides of this. One, remember, you are disenfranchising Cumberland Presbyterians of their representation. I'm not sure if disenfranchising is the exact word to use, but you get my meaning there. As the Presbyterial pastor, did I announce my name?
You did not.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Ron McMillan, Presbyterial pastor, Cornerstone Presbytery. Excuse me. Your forgiveness, please. I note that some of those churches that did not submit reports participate in our presbytery. They send a representative, their youth go to the camps, their children go to the camps. Not all of them, but many of them are still involved on different levels. Also, on the other hand, this isn't one simple issue. There is the problem of inflation. Many of our churches have not cleaned their rolls for years, decades even. And so when they send representatives based on their figures, we are sending representatives who are representing people that have already joined the Baptist church, the Pentecostal church, and even as they do in Chicago, vote the cemetery, people that are dead. So this is a much larger issue. I'm not trying to speak for or against, just remind you there are a lot of implications to this. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you. Gwen, were you going to speak? Okay. Larry?
Mr. Moderator, Larry Buchanan, Minister Representative from Covenant Presbytery. Again, I would like to reiterate what Brother McMillan said. Thank you to each of you and to our stated clerk, Reverend Michael Sharp, for the work that's been done here. But given that the changes were implemented in previous yearbooks prior to receiving approval from the General Assembly, and considering that presbyteries have already lost entitled commissioners due to these unapproved changes, I note that the published 2026 yearbook determines commissioners' entitlement to the 2027 General Assembly. With these facts in mind, I move to amend Recommendation 1 of the stated clerk's report to read as follows: that each presbytery remind churches of the importance of submitting their annual report and work with churches that might need assistance in completing their report. Congregations that do not submit an annual report for 3 consecutive years will have a 0 reported to the active membership column of the yearbook, with 3 years no report counting starting with the 2027 yearbook. The number of commissioners entitled for each presbytery at the 2027 meeting of General Assembly will be the same number of commissioners that were entitled for each presbytery at the meeting of the 2024 General Assembly. Upon approval of this new policy, the General Assembly stated clerk shall communicate this newly adopted policy to each presbytery prior to their fall meeting and have it recorded under the communications in their fall 2026 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, if you'll give that to our engrossing clerk. So you were adding a paragraph to what's stated there, correct? Yes. Okay. All right, so an amendment has been made, a second was given. Yeah. So I will reread that for us. Give me just a second, Gwen, please. So here's the paragraph the whole thing as amended. And this is, again, not done yet, just yet. We'll have to vote on this amendment, but that each presbytery remind churches of the importance of submitting their annual reports and work with churches that might need assistance in completing the report. Congregations that do not submit an annual report for 3 consecutive years will have a 0 reported in the active membership column of the yearbook. And then here's where we add to what's currently there. With 3 years, no report counting, starting with the 2027 yearbook, the number of commissioners entitled for each presbytery at the 2027 meeting of General Assembly will be the same number of commissioners that were entitled for each presbytery at the meeting of 2024 General Assembly. Upon approval of this new policy, the General Assembly stated clerk shall communicate this newly adopted policy to each presbytery prior to the fall meetings and have it recorded under their communications in their fall 2026 minutes. I know that's a lot, but we'll restate it a couple of times before we actually vote on it, so everybody understands. Okay. Yeah, we've got this amendment on the floor now. So right now, we have an amendment to recommendation 1. So that's what we need to address currently. Okay, so you want to speak to something different. We need to hold off on that for just a moment. So anybody that would like to speak to the amendment that's on the floor, I invite you to do that now. Jerry?
Mr. Moderator, Jerry Sperling, Covenant Presbytery. I would like to speak in favor of the amendment. I think it's important that churches submit their reports. I heard from Mr. Mike Sharp in our committee meetings of the process of that, and I'm all in favor of it. My only concern is that there are presbyteries who are lacking in representation here at this meeting because those actions have already been put in place.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak for or against this amendment that has been presented to recommendation 1?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
Just one notation regarding the amendment proposed. There are churches that do close, and there have been churches that have closed since that year, so that would not constitutionally be in order for those closed churches to be considered part of the representation of that year.
The difficulty we have in
Would you state your name?
Mr. Moderator, Reverend Alan Meinzer, Arkansas Presbytery. The 2025 and 2025 and 2026 yearbooks have already had zeros applied to them, which means those zeros were applied before GA's approval. So in developing those who are entitled to send commissioners for the 2027 General Assembly, normally you would use the 2026 yearbook. The problem is there's already been a zeros applied before GA has acted. That is why you go back to 2024 and simply say these will be the commissioners and the number of commissioners that will be entitled for each presbytery, because you have no way currently to do it accurately because it's been zeroed out. And so I think that's where they came to the conclusion that we just go back to 2024 and let those numbers be the commissioners. Now, the yearbook may have churches that are no longer there, but we did have numbers of commissioners that attended. And so I think it would be fair to say we're simply using the numbers of commissioners that were there to attend.
Mr. Moderator, Neil Wilkinson, Missouri Presbytery. Given the allegations, the statements made about the changing of the yearbooks, I wonder if we might have clarification from the stated clerk on that issue to clarify if actions had been taken and the rationale for doing so.
Speak to that, Mr.
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, as we recall during our orientation, the commissioners are based on 1,000 for every 1,000 members of active membership, as well as all clergy on roll for a presbytery. Those presbyteries are entitled to one elder and one minister commissioner. So the active membership that's reported or recorded in the yearbook is what has been received by our office from annual reports. Some presbyteries do 100%, and kudos to Japan Presbytery and others that do that year in and year out. So it can be done, okay? We've had some presbyteries where congregations there have been 8 years or longer. It's hard to verify membership of a congregation that we have not heard from in over 8 years. And so to try to enable us to have an adequate way to verify numbers for commissioners and validate the constitutional requirements for commissioners to assembly, we felt that it's hard to know what the membership, it may be higher than it was 8 years ago for that congregation that hasn't reported in that time frame, or it may be less than that. But to be a verified, validated number for constitutional purposes, we feel that those reports need to be in, and 3 years would be an adequate time frame to do so. The reference to that is on page 37 of the stated clerk's report under statistical information. So one other point in the amendment, which I like the time frame, I have no problem with that. The only concern is the wording of the amendment. Constitutionally, it's not by prior year's delegates, it's by membership of that presbytery. And that membership may have changed since 2025.
Yeah, I think I saw Larry first.
Mr. Moderator, Larry Buchanan, Covenant Presbytery. May I speak again?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Sharp, when I say we, I'm speaking on behalf of Covenant Presbytery. We went from 3 delegates to 1 delegate this year with very short notice. And when I say that, I understand fully we have a tremendous responsibility in getting the proper numbers to you. I know for a fact, because my church was part of that, some numbers did not get counted. And all I can tell you, I'm going to blame it on the Postal Service, because I do know for a fact, and anybody that knows my office administrator knows she's one of the best. She's actually been offered positions within the denomination, and she's very good at what she does. We did send in reports. I'm pretty sure we're showed as a 0. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, really, not personally. But what I am saying is this. If we're re-emphasizing what may have been overlooked for several years, I understand that and fully support that. But the fact of the matter is to implement it without any prior notification is, I think, a little short-sighted. I also want you to fully understand that we support in any way possible to move forward to get the correct numbers, not just the 0 numbers, but also the highs, because you and I both know there's a lot of, as Reverend McMillan suggested, there's a lot of people that have moved on to other situations. It's like I was told when I heard our numbers. I said, well, I know 0's not right, and I know the total membership is incorrect. And I suspect that's what it is with nearly every church in our denomination. With all of that said, I fully support what we're trying to do. And the reason I thought, and others that I have discussed this with, and our presbytery, I've had several inputs about it. we should go back to prior years. I understand that it should come from maybe newer years, but we've had some churches in the last few years, not churches, presbyteries, that have lost numbers. I'm pretty sure we're not the only one this year. And not that we, according to the way it was done, did not deserve that. I'm not saying that in the least. We did deserve it according to the count that y'all presented, not questioning the count whatsoever. But do think that this needs to be something that's done in a timely manner, and the way to do it, we think, is to go back and take numbers that aren't skewed and move forward from there and have it for a length of time before it is implemented. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Go Andy, then Dusty.
Mr. Moderator, Andy McClung, Cornerstone Presbytery. I think that this amendment is well thought out, well worded, and certainly aimed at being fair. However, I rise to oppose the amendment. We are in the business of truth, and incorrect reporting of numbers is untruthful.
Mr. Moderator, Reverend Dusty Luthi, Red River Presbytery, I want to speak against this amendment. If we have churches that are not reporting for 8 years, that means there is a possibility for the past 8 years presbyteries have been overrepresented inaccurately. So if we go back to 2024, the numbers may still not reflect the accurate representation of presbyteries. As someone who turns in her report late every year, I can tell you that we are chased down by our stated clerks if they have quality and salt to them. Elizabeth Vaughn does a wonderful job of chasing us down, and if a church does not report it, I believe they are willfully ignoring the polity of our Cumberland Presbyterian denomination, and as such should be disciplined with a 0 in the yearbook.
Mr. Moderator, Mindy Acton, Grace Presbytery. I think we're getting a little off course here. The thing that the stated clerk is doing is a good thing for us, and it encourages us to do the counting and to get the information in. We need some, obviously, help to do that. Not all presbyteries have Elizabeth as their stated clerk. They have other people that may have 3 other jobs they're doing as well, which is typical in the Cumberland churches. That being said, where the fuzzy comes in, Mr. Moderator, is that the actions of the zeros that are in existence on the last 2 years of books are done by the stated clerk after speaking with a group of other stated clerks that are in presbyteries. It was not done through any adjudicatory action, body, or anything like that. So we're just trying to go back, get back to where we were, and do it through the body of General Assembly. Let them rule on this good idea, great idea, and do it through General Assembly, which is how it should be done, not, from a group of stated clerks making a decision unknown to the rest of the presbyteries. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Moderator, Harry Green, Murfreesboro Presbytery. Whatever we pass here is going to be enacted by our presbyteries. Presbyteries now are charged with the responsibility to get the records in. So let's get our presbyteries to do what they're charged to do.
He rose back here first. Add a way to hustle. Good job.
Mr. Moderator, Reverend Ryan Young from Hope Presbytery. I don't know all the workings of this amendment, but one thing I do know is, as someone who operates on my presbytery's Board of Missions, one of the things we were tasked with is making sure that our sessions are sending in their minutes. And if a session doesn't send in their minutes after a long time, we have to give some form of disciplinary action with the incentive hoping that they will then give us what we desire of them so that we can get them back in proper standing. And when I initially read this, my thought is, if we haven't heard from someone in 3 years, 3 years is a pretty good amount of time to say, hey, we haven't heard from you, we need to get this annual report in. I know that my Board of Mission, at least, in our checking of the minutes, says to look for an annual report from our congregation so that we can make an annual report from the presbytery to send on to General Assembly. I think that's a pretty fair amount of time. And I also think that the reality is if you haven't heard from people in 3 years, there's a lot of unknown then. How do you know what their entire body of representation is? How do you know how to appropriately deem them with representatives? You need to be able to hear from them to know how healthy the presbytery, how healthy the church is, to make sure that everything's being followed. And if after 3 years they can't get it together, I do think there should be some disciplinary recourse, not to fall back on previous times and go, well, we know you did something you shouldn't have done, but we're going to reward you now with possibly more representation. I think just in the way that we do polity, it would say, you have a duty to your church to fill out your annual reports to make sure you're getting these in. I think putting some sort of penalty in there gives us an incentive that is good to make sure that the business of the church can be done accurately and well. So I just wanted to put that before the body to say, hey, it might be a good thing to have this on the books in some form of writing to make sure that people understand there is a penalty. You are now being made known of it. In the future, let's try to get our annual reports in. Thank you.
By the way, I think I was supposed to, your little girl is here and has a birthday today, right? So happy birthday. What's her name? Penny. Penny? Happy birthday, Penny, wherever you are. I think you were going to speak.
Thank you.
Were you?
Mr. Moderator, may I speak?
Yes, sir. Yeah, go.
Reverend Jeff Stovall, National Presbytery. Just one question I have concerning the idea is if you go back in time, I know that we've had churches transfer from one presbytery to another, and that is going to be an adjustment that has to be made. And I know also for us that we will be, of course, that would be coming up, that we do have churches that will be leaving National Presbytery going to Columbia Presbytery. So in that process, I know in the process that we look at and serving a couple of churches as moderator, pushing the smaller churches to get their numbers in, to get their reports in, and having to force them to do it just to make sure they are represented is, again, upon the presbytery's responsibility to do that. So, you know, it falls back on us as brothers, sisters in Christ, taking the command, taking what we said we were going to do as Cumberland Presbyterians, ordained ministers, ordained elders, doing what we were called to do and following up. And so I speak against the amendment because, you know, we baby a lot. And I know I love this denomination, and that doesn't really matter. Everybody else loves this denomination. They're here. So, and we're going to disagree on stuff, but, you know, that's just where I stand. So I'll be quiet.
Mr. Moderator, Jerry Sperling, Covenant Presbytery. May I speak again? The issue is not the matter of churches with less members should have less representation. That's true, and I believe that's something we can all agree on. The issue is where that disciplinary action is coming from. No judiciary committee was the one enforcing this, and I believe it sets a concerning principle if the stated clerk is the one enforcing the discipline of the denomination. Thank you.
And just to help me, let me ask a clarifying question, just so I can wrap my around it, and maybe everybody else can too. For next year's assembly, those numbers are based on what was turned in this past January, correct? And would be in the 2026 yearbook. Is that correct?
Yeah, the actions of the 91 Assembly set that the Credential Committee of the General Assembly use the yearbook in existence in the fall prior to the meeting of the General Assembly for recommending certification of commissioners to that General Assembly.
So getting our presbyteries in gear this year will help for 2028, correct? Yes. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Not that tall. Mr. Moderator, Ashley McLean, Cornerstone Presbytery. Just a question. I understand, like, being late and not turning in anything at all, zero, completely understand. The issue brought up a bit ago, I'm sorry, I don't remember who brought it up, was that, like, numbers were wrong. So if you turned in something and everything got put in and it came back to you and you were, like, numbers off, hypothetically, could they go to you, the state clerk, and be like, hey, you're actually 20 off, we need some more numbers added? Like, could they do that?
Yeah, there's a couple of checks and balances that occur in the process, and this is getting, in the layers of what all is involved in those steps. As the reports are received by the General Assembly office, we send a spreadsheet back to each presbyterial clerk before the yearbook is even printed. Say, please verify that these are accurate numbers that have been reported for your presbytery, the congregations in your presbytery. And only until we get a reception back, if we hear back from the presbyterial clerk, some clerks won't respond to that notification, then we proceed with the printing of that. But we do checks and balances. At the clerks conference in every meeting in January, clerks are reminded to work with those congregations because they know the personalities in each of those local churches and maybe other persons in that congregation that could help the session clerk for that congregation to fill out the report or work with the pastors. You can see in the preliminary minutes that this assembly, not this assembly, but assemblies over the years have requested the Board of Missions for each presbytery work with congregations to see that those reports are fulfilled. So there's a lot of encouragement and methods to ensure that those reports are filed in a timely way and an accurate way. So we do our best. If there is a change that is made before it's printed, we do change that with verification from the presbyterial clerk.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on the amendment as it is on the floor?
Permission to speak to it again.
Yeah.
If we vote in the affirmative, Mr. Moderator, to this amendment, what the state clerk wants to happen happens as a General Assembly vote, and it starts this year moving forward, not back before anybody knew this was going on. So this amendment does not do away anything the state clerk wants. We are in full agreement of that. All we're saying is start it with 2027's book, not 2025's 2 years ago, well, of 2024. So is that correct in your understanding, Mr. Moderator?
That would be my understanding, yes.
Affirming this gets those people that got zeroed out unknowingly get back on and then have a chance to get their numbers in for the next yearbook. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Leticia Ceballos, Presbiterio del Valle del Cauca.
Good morning. My name is Leticia from the Cauca Valley Presbytery.
Considero de que hay suficiente ilustración ya sobre este punto.
I believe there has been enough illustrations about this point.
Excuse me. Los números que se dan son del ejecutado del año inmediatamente anterior y sobre esas cifras es que se proyecta para el siguiente año.
Repítelo, qué pena.
Los números del presupuesto presentado
The budget numbers that were presented
son del ejecutado del año inmediatamente
were
anterior.
executed the year before.
Y basado en eso es que se proyecta para este actual.
And based on them is what's projected for now.
¿Es así, verdad?
Is that correct?
Ah, ok. Ok, ok, ok. Pues, no, entonces, suficiente ilustración para que de pronto nos vayamos a
numbers.
votación mejor.
Yeah, so she's saying basically enough illustrations, let's vote.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like everybody's in agreement with her.
Call for a question.
The call for the question, all right. All right, so let me read again the amendment to recommendation 1, and I'll read it in full. That each presbytery remind churches of the importance of submitting their annual reports and work with churches that might need assistance in completing the report. Congregations that do not submit an annual report for 3 consecutive years will have a 0 reported in the active membership column of the yearbook, with 3 years no reporting counting starting with the 2027 yearbook. The number of commissioners entitled for each presbytery at the 2027 meeting of General Assembly will be the same number of commissioners that were entitled for each presbytery at the meeting of the 2024 General Assembly. Upon approval of this new policy, the General Assembly's stated clerk shall communicate this new adopted policy to each presbytery prior to their fall meetings and have it recorded under their communications in the fall 2026 minutes. Everybody clear on what we're voting on? We're
Miss-
voting on an amendment to recommendation 1. Okay.
Can I speak to you for a moment?
Yes. before we proceed to vote on the amendment, we kind of got in the weeds a little bit. There's maybe some constitutional things that we perhaps are stepping on here. So if I could get a motion to lay this on the table so that we could get with the maker of the amendment and maybe work out some proper language to get it where it wouldn't step on the Constitution's toes and get it proper form, and then we could bring it back up and bring it for a vote then. So in order to do that, if we could have a motion to lay it on the table, and who was my parliamentary procedure young man over here? Yeah, we're really stretching it right now, aren't we? If any of you are FFA people, parliamentary procedure, we're doing it right now. All right. So we're going to, if I could have a motion to lay this on the table. All right, we've got a motion and a second. I don't think it's debatable. We're just laying this substitute motion and recommendation one.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator. We voted to vote.
We voted to vote.
On the amendment.
We did do that. I think this supersedes that vote so we can get the language clarified to make sure we're doing something correct. We don't want to step on our Constitution and do something incorrect that would violate our own Constitution.
Question of privilege.
Okay?
Could you call a 10-minute recess to have that discussion?
We could. Can we, you think we can hash it out in 10 minutes? Okay. So let's call a little recess. I think that'll be good. Everybody stretch our legs and let's get it figured out real quick. Mr. Maddox, you got a contribution to help us out here.
Mr. Moderator, Mark Maddox, Mid-South Presbytery. I believe, sir, when the question is called, you must move immediately to a vote.
Okay. Oh, boy. All right. Okay. All right. So, since Mr. State Representative also knows what he's doing, much more than I or some of us others, that he is correct. So we do need to vote. But I can let you know, if you vote in the negative to defeat this motion, and we huddle back together and change the language, it would be a new substitute motion or amendment to get it correct so that we don't step on the Constitution's toes and it wouldn't be just rehashing another one. So you could come back after it, after we recess, and get it correct. So we can vote on this right now. So if you want to vote no, I'm not telling you how to vote, but all in favor. So everybody know what we're doing? No. It's all confused. Yads, you know what we're doing? Yes? Okay. Internationals, have we completely confused everybody? Okay. So I think we're ready to proceed to vote. So, Yads, how would you vote on this substitute amendment? All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Any opposed? No. All right, there you go. You understood the assignment. And now to the body, voting on the amendment to recommendation 1. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say no. No. Okay, the substitution or the amendment failed. So recommendation 1 now stands as it is in the report. Let's call a little recess here so we can stretch our legs and our brains. We'll come back at, let's just say 11 o'clock and reconvene.
me take this to work on the wording?
Yes. right, let's call us back to order here. Thank you for that brief recess. Sure it was appreciated by all. The whole report is back on the floor now. Gwen wished to speak to an issue, so we want to recognize her.
Gwen Warren, Mid-South Presbytery. Okay.
Lots of running, lots of...
Yeah. I appreciate the level of hustle this year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, before you speak, let me remind you again on the calendar, by previous action on August 22nd, we added in Children, Youth, and Family Services Day. Just make note of that.
That's for 27.
27th? Oh, sorry. 27th. So thank you. Okay. 2027, excuse me. 22nd on 2027. Okay. There we go.
But related to that, Mr. Moderator, as stated in the previous report, the third Sunday in August has traditionally been Children, Youth, and Family Services Sunday. So I would make a motion to amend recommendation 2 to include August 16th, 2026 as Children, Youth, and Family Services Sunday on the denominational calendar.
So we want to amend recommendation 2 to add August 16, 2026 to be Children, Youth, and Family Service Day. We already added in August 22nd, 2027. Okay. Yeah, August 16th is the Sunday, so the calendar needs to reflect the past Sunday is the 16th. So she amended the Children's Home Sunday, August 16th, for Children, Youth, and Family Services. The calendar says the 17th for past Sunday, so that date would be incorrect. The Sunday is actually the 16th. So is there a second to Reverend Warren's motion? Okay, motion is made and seconded. Is there any discussion on her amendment to recommendation 2 to add Children and Youth Family Services Day to August 16, 2026. Any discussion? Yads? All in favor of that, say aye. Aye. Okay. Internationals, we're good with that. Body, all in favor of amending recommendation 2 to add August 16th, 2026 to include Children, Youth, and Family Service Day, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? By acclamation, would you like to make an editorial change to a past Sunday to also be the 16th rather than the 17th there? Consent. All right. Is that good? Good with everybody? All right, we'll make that editorial change there to the 16th as well. All right. The floor is now back open for discussion on the report as a whole. Reverend Buchanan.
Mr. Moderator, after discussion with Council Jamie Jordan, Reverend Michael Sharp, Mr. Moderator Daniel Barkley, I would like to present this. That each presbytery remind churches of the importance of submitting their annual report and work with churches that might need assistance in completing the report. Congregations that do not submit an annual report for 3 consecutive years will have a 0 reported in the active membership column of the yearbook, with 3 years no reporting starting with the 2027 yearbook. The stated clerk shall, upon the update the 2026 yearbook to reflect the active membership from the 2024 yearbook for non-reporting churches, excluding only churches formerly closed or transferred by their presbyteries and synods. Upon approval of this new policy, the General Assembly stated clerk shall communicate the newly adopted policy to each presbytery prior to their fall meetings and have it recorded upon the communications in their fall 2026 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay. So amendment has been proposed. Is there a second? Okay. Amendment to recommendation 1 and second. So let me reread that. Particularly the change here. So the body of recommendation 1 remains the same, and I'll pick up there after the active membership. With 3 years, no reported counting starting 2027 yearbook, the stated clerk shall update the 2026 yearbook to reflect the active membership from the 2024 yearbook for non-reporting churches, excluding any churches formerly closed or transferred by their presbyteries or synods. Upon approval of this new policy, the General Assembly stated clerk shall communicate this newly adopted policy to each presbytery prior to their fall meetings and have it recorded under their communications in their fall 2026 minutes. So this is amendment to recommendation 1. This kind of clears up the constitutional issues that there may have been in the original language that was defeated. Any discussion on this amendment? This would change the number of non-reporting churches back to 2024 numbers for this year's yearbook and use those for reporting for delegates for next year's assembly. Stated clerk. He's in agreement. Any other discussion?
Question? Yeah. Oh, no, question.
Oh, yeah. Calling for the question. So all in favor, ready to vote? Say aye. Aye. Okay. Yads, all in favor of this amendment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. International delegates, we're ready? Okay. So the body, all in favor of this amendment? Do I need to read it again? Everybody comfortable with it? Good. So all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, the ayes have it. So recommendation 1 will be amended as read. And our engrossing clerk. So now we have the report as a whole once again before us with recommendations 1 and 2 as amended. Any further discussion on our report? Hearing none, are we ready to vote on the report as a whole? Yads, all in favor of receiving this report, adopting its recommendations, and those as amended, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Internationals, we're ready to vote? Good. Okay, body, all in favor of receiving this report, adopting its recommendations, including those that were amended, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Thank you, committee, for your hard work. We congratulate you. Our next report will be the Committee on Ministry, Council, Theology, and Social Concerns. So I invite you to come forward at this time.
I'd just like to say it's been an honor and a blessing to serve with this committee. I can't thank you enough for this opportunity. My name is Theresa Martin. I'm a preacher and representing Tennessee, Georgia Presbytery. Co-chair is Jimmy Payton. His voice carries better than mine, one of his many qualities. And so I'm going to turn it over to Jimmy at this point.
I don't know what that meant, but I love Theresa anyway. Mr. Moderator, Jimmy Payton, Minister Commissioner, Columbia Presbytery. I just want to reiterate with Theresa what a blessing it was to work with this committee. The blend that we had of people and yads, we all enjoyed it, got to know each other very well, and we very much appreciate those who came before us to talk to us about the things we had to consider, and we present this report to you now. Our yads are going to come and read that for you.
Michaela Nichols, Grace Presbytery. Referral to this committee was the report of the Ministry Council and the report of the United Theology and Social Concerns. Persons appearing before the council were Ms. Edith Old, the Director of Ministries of the CPC Ministry Council, along with members of the Ministry Council, Matthew Gore, Interim Communications Ministry Team Leader, Reverend Dr. Milton Ortiz, Missions Ministry Team Leader, Reverend Dr. Pam Phillips-Burke, Pastoral Development Ministry Team Leader, Reverend Kevin Jenkins, Representative to General Assembly, the Reverend Lisa Scott and Reverend Nick Chambers, representatives of Unified Committee on Theology and Social Concerns. Recommendation 1, that Recommendation 1 of the report of the Ministry Council that General Assembly form a new synod named Synod of Nations consisting of the following presbyteries, Andes, Amos, and Cauca Valley be adopted. Let me go ahead and apologize for the names that may or may not be butchered in the second recommendation. Recommendation 2, that Recommendation 2 of the report of the Ministry Council that General Assembly appoint a special committee consisting of Reverend Dr. Milton L. Ortiz and Reverend T.J. Melanowski of Missions Ministry Team, Reverend Alexander Castano and Santiago Velasquez of Amos Presbytery, Reverend Rodrigo Torres and Reverend Fabian Flores, Miss Janet Miss Latika Cabellos, Reverend Johnny Montano, Reverend Mabley Minolta, Mr. Guillermo Argello, Yad Ana, Isabel Montano of Cauca Valley Presbytery, Reverend Diana Valdez, Miss Andrea Mesa of Andes Presbytery, and Miss Francia Ortez of Cornerstone to oversee the convening and coordination of the inaugural annual meeting of the new Synod of the Nations on July 10th, 2026 at the Armenia CP Church, the implementation of the standing rules, the formation of the coordinating committee, and the election of officers. A member of the special committee will be responsible for convening the organizational meeting of the new synod and presiding until a moderator has been elected be denied.
Hello, I'm Lucas Stevens from Murfreesboro Presbytery. I'm here with Recommendation 3 because several names and dates have changed from when Recommendation 2 was made, and the committee recommends that that Recommendation 2 of the Ministry Council be denied and the following be approved. So, Recommendation 3 reads that the General Assembly appoint a special committee consisting of Reverend Dr. Milton L. Ortiz and Reverend T.J. Malinowski from the Mission Ministry Team, Reverend Kim Moore from Nashville Presbytery, Reverend Cecilia Taborda and Santiago Velasquez from Amos Presbytery, Reverend Johnny Montano, Reverend Mabeli Micolta, Angelica Poveda, Nelly Riascos, Leticia Ceballos, and Janeth Naranjo from Cauca Valley Presbytery, Reverend Diana Valdez, Andrea Mesa from Andes Presbytery to oversee the convening and coordination of the inaugural annual meeting of the new Synod of the Nations on July 11th, 2026 at the Armenia CP Church, the implementation of the standing rules, the formation of the coordinating committee, and the election of officers. A member of the special committee will be responsible for convening the organizational meeting of the new synod and presiding until a new moderator has been elected. Recommendation 4, that recommendation 3 of the report of the Ministry Council, that presbyteries comprising Mission Synod be adjusted to reflect the removal of Andes, Emmaus, and Cauca Valley Presbytery, be adopted.
Blaise Lovelace from Red River Presbytery. Recommendation 5, that Reverend Dr. Milton Ortiz be allowed to share with this General Assembly the organization prayer for the formation of the Synod of the Nations. Due to legal considerations concerning the corporation and state charter, Recommendation 6, that Recommendation 4 of the report of the Ministry Council, that in tandem with the General Assembly approval of the creation of the new Synod, that changes be made to the bylaws of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church Ministry Council, reflecting 2 elected members from each of the 6 synods. The size of the council be changed from 15 members to 12 members. The limits on the number of clergy and lay members be changed to no more than 7 members of any one class. The limit on gender be changed to no more than 7 members on any one gender, be denied.
Gabriel Ingram of Robert Donnell Presbytery. Recommendation 7, that in tandem with the General Assembly approval of the creation of the new synod, the General Assembly receive as information that the Ministry Council intends to recommend the 196th General Assembly for its approval changes to the charter and bylaws of the Ministry Council reflecting the following. The Ministry Council will have 2 elected members from each of the 6 synods. The size of the council be changed from 15 members to 12 members. The limits on the number of clergy and lay members will be changed to no more than 7 members of any one class, and the limit on gender will be changed to no more than 7 members of any one gender. Also, due to legal considerations stemming from Recommendation 6, Recommendation 8, that Recommendation 5 of the report of the Ministry Council, that current members of the council will continue to serve until their current terms expire and will be eligible for re-election based on the new structure of the council, be denied.
Mr. Moderator, I move the reports be concurred in and its recommendations adopted.
Thank you. All right, the report is before you. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Moderator, Jerry Sperling, Covenant Presbytery. May I ask a question to the committee regarding,
Yes.
I believe, recommendation 6, 7?
Okay.
What is the rationale behind changing the number of representatives per synod from 3 to 2 in your recommendation?
The rationale presented to us was because you've got 3 now from each synod, if you move to 6 synods going to 18, that really increases a body and it makes it a little unwieldy to work with. Going to 12 still allows representation from all 6 of the synods that are going to be present. You also have a financial implication, bringing more members together, and particularly from further distances, because the Synod of the Nations is going to have 2, or you would have 3. So those considerations and the suggestion of the Ministry Council was to allow that body to move in a more effective and efficient manner by going to those numbers.
And a follow-up question, if I may. If I understand correctly, the Ministry Council meets once an in-person meeting, and then they have a second meeting that is virtual every year. Is that correct?
That is my understanding. I'm looking for shaking heads, but that's my understanding.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, are we ready to proceed to vote? Yads, all in favor of receiving this report, adopting its recommendations, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? International delegates? Okay, we're all good. So, to the body, all in favor of receiving this report and adopting its recommendations, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. How about we give a hand on the creation of a new synod? How about that? At this time, I would like to invite Reverend Dr. Milton Ortiz now to speak and share a prayer with us.
Will you stand? This is a very important time. It's a historical moment for our denomination. I'm going to read in English, then Spanish. You will answer first in English, then Spanish. Eternal God, Father of all nations, we thank you for your call to be witnesses of Christ to the world. Dios eterno, Padre de todas las naciones, gracias por tu llamado a ser testigos de Cristo en el mundo. We thank you for the 195th General Assembly and the formation of the Synod of the Nations with the presbyteries of Andes, Imeas, and Cauca Valley. Gracias por la 195 Asamblea General y la formación del Sínodo de las Naciones con los presbiterios de Andes, Emaús y Valle del Cauca. Jesús commanded us, go and make disciples of all nations. Jesús nos mandó ir y hacer discípulos a todas las naciones. We dedicate this synod to your glory, for mission and unity in Christ. Dedicamos este sínodo a tu gloria, para misión y unidad en Cristo.
May your name be glorified.
Strengthen its mission and vision to transform lives and reach the nations. Fortalece su misión y visión para transformar vidas y alcanzar las naciones. Bless its leaders and congregations with unity and grace. Bendice a sus líderes y congregaciones con unidad y gracia.
Unite us in Christ.
Amen. You may have a seat.
Thank you to this committee. Job well done. Now we'll move to the report of the Committee on MTS and the special committee from MTS.
Mr. Moderator, Mark Maddox, Mid-South Presbyterian Commissioner. First, I just want to thank you and Reverend Sharp for the appointment of the people that are on this committee. One of the most thorough committees I've ever served on. I can tell you that each of these recommendations were thoroughly vetted. They ask good quality questions, and thank God for the four youth advisory delegates we had, they were on top of every question, and in fact, directing us in ways that I never really expected. So I'm just so grateful for them and their talent and their willingness to show that talent. I would also like, for your consent, there are at least 2 people of the special committee that the General Assembly appointed that I would like to have them come to the front as well. And if they need to speak with your consent, we would allow them to do that, even though they're not commissioners of this assembly.
Okay, by consent, would we allow the special committee members to speak?
They are present and with us. With that, Mr. Moderator, I would have our youth advisory delegates to read the report.
Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, Ana Montaño from Cauca Valley Presbytery. Referrals. Oh. Referrals to this committee are as follows. The report of the Board of Trustees of Memphis Theological Seminary are the report and the report of a special committee on MTS and clergy leadership training. Personnel of council. Appearing before the committee were Reverend Dr. Jody Hill, President of Memphis Theological Seminary, Reverend Kip Rush, Chair, Memphis Theological Seminary Board of Trustees, Reverend Dr. Michael Coles, Vice President of Cumberland Presbyterian Church Relations and Director of the Cumberland Presbyterian House of Studies and the Program of Alternative Studies, Reverend Larry Blackburn, Chair, General Assembly Special Committee on Memphis Theological Seminary, Reverend Bobby Coleman, Member, General Assembly Special Committee on Memphis Theological Seminary, Reverend Michael Sharp, Stated Clerk, Cumberland Presbyterian Church, and Mr. Jamie Jordan, Legal Counsel, Office of General Assembly, Cumberland Presbyterian Church. Consideration of referrals. The report of the Board of Trustees of Memphis Theological Seminary. The President, Jody Hill, explained the process preceding the decision of close and the attention of the board since. Because of the timing of the closure of the board was able to offer faculty and staff generous severance packages of aid in the transition. After July 31st, 2026, 5 staff members will remain until December 31st of 2026 to help with transition activities, including President Hill, Vice President Pauls, some office and security personnel. Your committee commends the Reverend Dr. Jody Hill, President of Memphis Theological Seminary, and Reverend Kip Rush, Chairman of Memphis Theological Seminary Board of Trustees, for their compassion and pastoral care of the students, staff, and faculty as the seminary begins the process of closing. Students can finish their degree journeys with a generous teach-out program offered by Perkins School of Theology at Southern Methodist University. A celebration of the 6+ year of ministry by the seminary will be held in July 2nd of 2026. The report contained no recommendations.
Mr. Moderator, with your permission, the consent of the body, because that is the last report of Memphis Theological Seminary, I've asked Vice Chair Paula, Reverend Paula, you know who I'm talking about, to offer a word on the behalf of the seminary.
Please.
May I address them? Okay. John 12:24 reads, "Very truly I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds." In the life of faith, endings are rarely just conclusions. They are often the necessary planting of seeds. Within the walls of our beloved seminary, MTS, minds have been sharpened, spirits have been shaped, friendships forged, and countless leaders have been equipped to carry the gospel into a hurting world. While it is difficult to see these doors close, we remember that the true impact of MTS was never confined to a physical building. The true legacy lives in the pastors, chaplains, and servants who were trained here and have been scattered across the globe. Just as a seed breaks open in the dark soil to produce an abundant harvest, the knowledge, grace, and wisdom cultivated at MTS will continue to bear fruit for generations to come. As this chapter closes, we recognize that God is not finished. The building may close, but God's church remains. We give praise to God for what has been, and we step into the future with hopeful hearts, trusting in the promise that God will complete the good work that he has begun. In Isaiah 43, verses 18 and 19, the New Living Translation reads, "But forget all that. It is nothing compared to what I am going to do. For I am about to do something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in the dry wasteland." The true legacy of this place does not end, it multiplies. It lives on in the sermons preached, the souls comforted, and the communities transformed by the generations of leaders who studied, prayed, and grew within the walls. While the closing brings an understandable ache, we can trust the Holy Spirit to guide these seeds of faith into new and fertile soil. God is doing a new thing. The calling remains, the gospel endures, and the lessons learned here will continue to bear fruit in ways that we cannot yet see. Thank you.
I'm Simon Palacios from Cauca Valley Presbytery, and the report of Special Committee on MTS and Clergy Leadership Training, persons of councils provided background information for the recommendations and answered many questions for us. Your committee wishes to commend the Special Committee for its works as the General Assembly creates a new process of educating Cumberland Presbyterian ministers to serve God. Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry. The Special Committee developed a vision, mission, and strategic framework as a guiding statement for theological education and lay ministry for the Cumberland Presbyterian Church. This framework can be found in Appendix 1. To begin this ministry, our committee makes the following recommendations. Recommendation 1. The recommendation 1 of the report of the Special Committee on MTS and Clergy Leadership Training that the 195th General Assembly of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church approved the creation of the Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, using the vision, mission, and strategic framework, Appendix 1, as the basis for the formation of this board, be adopted. Recommendation 2 is necessary to change the name of Memphis Theological Seminary to the Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry for legal purpose related to the corporation's Tennessee charter and federal tax status. The proposed charter is in Appendix 2. Recommendation 2. The recommendation 2 of the report of a Special Committee on MTS and Clergy Leadership Training that the General Assembly consent to the amended and restated charter approved by the Board of Trustees of Memphis Theological Seminary on May 15, 2026, in order for the MTS Corporation to continue its existence as the Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, BTE, and to carry on the Ministry of Theological Education and Lay Leadership Training in accordance with the vision, mission, and strategic framework, Appendix 2, be adopted. Board structure and criteria. Your committee believes that the members of the board must possess certain knowledge, skills, and commitment to develop This new education, these criteria are vital to success and are defined in Appendix 3. Your committee makes the following recommendation. Recommendation 3, the recommendation of the report of a special committee on NTS and clergy leadership training, that the General Assembly adopt the criteria for the Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry, Appendix 3, in the election of members of the board, and recommend to the Committee on Nominations that it consider these criteria as guidance when nominating candidates for the BTE Board of Trustees. Be adopted.
Mr. Moderator, Britt Martin, Trinity Presbytery. Your committee understands the challenges of transition from an educational system based in the overseen by the seminary to a newly created program of study overseen by new board members whose qualifications are vital to success. Recognizing the need for board members with certain qualifications and the need for some to call the first meeting, the following is recommended. Recommendation 4, that Recommendation 4 of the Report of Special Committee on MTS and Clergy Leadership Training, that the General Assembly thank the current members of the MTS Board of Trustees for their diligent service to the Cumberland Presbyterian Church during a difficult time in the life of the denomination. Reconstitute the Board of Trustees of the MTS BTE Corporation by removing the current trustees effective August 1st, 2026, and elect the following 12 persons to serve as the Board of Trustees of the MTS BTE Corporation, with the terms of service indicated below to establish an annual rotation of 1/3 of the board, and with these elected trustees taking office immediately after the current MTS trustees cease to serve. Elected to a 1-year term expiring 2027, Reverend Dr. Tom Campbell, Dr. Maurice Ottinger, Tri-Coburg, Reverend Dr. Barry Anderson, Kathy Wood Dobbins. Elected to a 2-year term expiring in 2028, Reverend Michelle Gentry, Reverend Bobby Coleman, Tri-Covenor, Reverend Dr. Marcus Hayes, Dr. Amanda Batts. And elected to a 3-year term expiring in 2029, Kyra Castleman, also a Tri-Covenor, Reverend Mark Hester, Fraser Allen, and Reverend Glenn Watts. Funding for the BTE. The BTE will need adequate funding for fulfill its mission. Current OUO funding for MTS and PAWS Plus income generated by the endowments and permanent spending for operations and the net proceeds from the sale of MTS property should provide significant funds your committee recommends. Recommendation 5, that Recommendation 5 of the Report of Special Committee on MTS and Clergy Leadership Training, that the General Assembly continue to fund MTS, BTE, and PASS through OUO be adopted. Recommendation 6, that Recommendation 6 of the Report on Special Committee on MTS and Clergy Leadership Training, that the General Assembly authorize the special committee created by the 194th General Assembly to continue its work as completed by the actions of the General Assembly in its called meeting held January 23rd, 2026 in Brentwood, Tennessee, be adopted.
Mr. Moderator, Marshall Wallace, Youth Advisory Delegate, Hope Presbytery. Amendments to General Assembly bylaws. Changes to General Assembly bylaws are needed with the closure of Memphis Theological Seminary and the creation of the Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry. Recommendation 7, that Recommendation 7 of the Report of Special Committee on MTS and Clergy Leadership Training, that the General Assembly amend its bylaws by substituting the words Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry in place of the words Memphis Theological Seminary each time those words appear in the bylaws be adopted. Recommendation 8, that Recommendation 8 of the Report of Special Committee on MTS and Clergy Leadership Training, that the General Assembly amend Bylaw 10.06 to read as follows. 10.06, Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry. The corporation shall elect 12 directors to the Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry. The corporation shall elect the directors in such a manner that, immediately following any election, at least 6 of the directors shall be ordained ministers in the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, and at least 3 of the directors shall be lay leaders, be adopted. Recommendation 9. That Recommendation 9 of the Report of Special Committee on MTS and Clergy Leadership Training, that the General Assembly amend Bylaw 11.09 to read as follows. 11.09, Unified Committee on Theology and Social Concerns, that the committee shall consist of the stated clerk, the president/executive director of the Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry, and 8 members elected by the corporation, be adopted. Evaluation and accountability. Believing that evaluation and accountability are crucial to the success of any endeavor, especially an education effort, your committee makes the following recommendation. Recommendation 10, that the 195th General Assembly encourage the Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry to develop an evaluation and accountability system for its programs. Respectfully submitted, the Committee on MTS, Special MTS.
Mr. Moderator, before I make the necessary motion, I would like to note that members of the special committee agreed to an editorial change in their framework where we talk about institutions and we want to add the words national and international institutions. That's just something that they agreed to, and it was nothing that we can do from here but what they need to do there, and I wanted the members to know that. Mr. Moderator, I move concurrence of this report and its recommendations be adopted.
Thank you. So you have the motion before you to concur in this report and adopt its recommendations. Is there any discussion?
I'll do it right this time. Ron McMillan, Presbyterian pastor of Cornerstone. While I am in concurrence with the general ideas and concepts and recommendations, I would ask the moderator, parliamentarian, and stated clerk to address any implications from Standing Rule 16.02 on this report and its recommendations. Thank you, sir.
So Standing Rule 16.02, I'll just read that to the body so that everybody's aware that what it's speaking to. In order to be effective, the following actions must be approved by 1, the affirmative vote of 2 consecutive General Assemblies, or 90% vote of single General Assembly, and is speaking to extraordinary actions of the body, terminating the existence of a denominational entity named in a bylaw 10.01, creating a new denominational entity other than a temporary committee or task force, decreasing OUO, or taking any other action which would cause drastic change in the mission or structure of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church. So the question would be before the moderator, the clerk, the parliamentarian, does this constitute an extraordinary action? Are we creating a new entity, or are we just continuing on the body of MTS and so forth? We have discussed that. I've heard several opinions on both sides of this issue. I will just be forthright in telling you, and if you did not know, I am currently on the Board of Trustees of Memphis Theological Seminary. I've served on that board for the last 8 years. So if you feel I have a conflict of interest in this, by any means, I would happily step aside and let Vice Moderator Kim Moore preside over this. But it is in my feeling that this does not create a new entity. As the Board of Memphis Theological Seminary, in our last board meeting, we approved in your report, there you see an appendix, I believe it was Appendix 2. That's the wrong page. Was it included in the report, or it may be in the, anyways, the amended charter of Memphis Theological Seminary to change the name to the Board of Theological Education. It remains the same charter, remains the same tax number for purposes in the state of Tennessee. So it's a continuation of the charter of Memphis Theological Seminary to the Board of Theological Education, now of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church. So the mission of Memphis Theological Seminary to educate ministers remains the same within the denomination of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church. For practicality purpose and what we're doing here, we're simply changing the name of Memphis Theological Seminary to the Board of Theological Education and Lay Ministry, or however that was stated there. It is in my opinion that what we're doing is not meet the qualifications of extraordinary actions. We've consulted with others. I think maybe the parliamentarian might disagree on that note, but legal counsel and stated clerk would agree with that. So I've heard various opinions, but I'm under the impression that this would not require that. It would come down to the vote, and while we're on the subject, while we go to a vote on several of these issues, when we get down to the changing of bylaws, we're going to have to require a 2/3 vote of the body on those particular issues. If we were to say this did meet this particular instance, we would need a 90% vote of the body if this did meet this qualification. So we would have to count the vote and see if 90% were in favor. So by all intents and purposes, we're going to have to count heads on votes anyhow. But it is of my opinion, the opinion of the chair here, that it does not meet this extraordinary action. And that would be my ruling, Mr. McMillan. Yes. Yes, sir.
Mr. Moderator, Don Grasky from Trinity Presbytery. I have a question for the committee, if I may ask that question.
Yes, sir.
On recommendation number 6, there's a couple items on that I'd like to ask. Is one, did you feel like the work of the committee was done and completed?
Yes, I do feel like that the work of the special committee was done. However, the reason for that recommendation is for the General Assembly, I'm sorry, let me get this in English. The General Assembly created the special committee and gave them the authority to act as the General Assembly as far as the sale of the MTS property goes. If we sunset the special committee, as my committee behind me wanted to do, then we would no longer have we would have to come back to the General Assembly in a special session if the MTS property sells. And you know that it takes 60 days to have a special called meeting of General Assembly, and in 60 days, real estate moves a lot faster than that. So we felt like after having that discussion with Mr. Jordan and with the chair of the special committee, Larry Blakeburn, that committee should continue until it reports to the 196th General Assembly, at which time the General Assembly will sunset it.
As a follow-up question, then, is there a reason why if recommendation 4 is approved, that it could not be sunsetted at a date soon following that August 1st date, and then the new committee be taking over those responsibilities?
While we hope that the MTS property will sell between now and the first meeting of the BTE board, there is no guarantee for that to happen. The BTE board will not have authority to act as the General Assembly like the special committee does as far as the sale of the property goes. Therefore, we have to have them intact in order to be able to sell the property in a timely manner.
Thank you. That answered my question. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Moderator, I'm Nick Mulebach. I'm from North Central Presbytery. I would like to ask you a question. First of all, a statement. You have just recently commented that this will not establish a new entity. Is that correct?
That is my opinion, yes.
Okay, so this is a continuation, if you will, almost of the current workings of MTS as it is, just under a new name.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes.
With that being
legally, yeah.
With that being said, I would just like to ask then, whatever the issues were that led to the closure of MTS, would that not possibly be a concern that those concerns would continue on into the new entity?
Well, the way that education will continue on, it's not going to be in the seminary setting. It's going to be, and that'll be for the board to figure out how ministers will be educated. They'll be able to go to different. I hope everyone was able to go to the luncheon yesterday when Reverend Dr. Larry Blackburn so eloquently laid all this out and explained it. He did a marvelous job, and perhaps we could invite him back to speak again. Did you have a comment?
Mr. Moderator, if I might try to answer that question.
Yeah.
The creation of the BTE board is simply in the regard that the moderator ruled on, is simply a legal situation that we have to do for corporate contracts, corporate charters in the state of Tennessee. Therefore, we have a new charter, an amended and restated charter, not a new one, an amended and restated charter that will be filed with the state of Tennessee with the new name. Now, that's the legal side. On the education side, we are creating a new way of doing, a new way of preparing ministers and lay leaders for their work. So there's two separate things happening here.
Thank you. Now may I direct my question towards you? Yeah. If there is a new way of training ministers and lay leaders, we know, I think it's pretty common knowledge that some of the curriculum is what led to some of the closure of MTS. In what ways will that new way of training ministers and lay leaders be different than what has appeared already to fail?
May I speak to that? Yes. Well, first of all, I might debate with you about the reasons for the failure of MTS. That's a whole nother issue. But we will actually be creating an entity that does theological education without attachment to an academic institution. Therefore, that will be a huge change for us. I would ask the chairman of the special committee, Larry Blackburn, and I think the vice chair, Reverend Bobby Coleman, if they would like to speak to that issue.
Would I like to speak to that issue? No, that is a wonderful question. And Mark has already made the comment that we're in this unique position now, a position we have never been in before in theological education. Now, lay ministry formation, it's a little closer, but now we will have the opportunity, presbyteries will make the decision through their committees on the ministry where they will attend, like graduate schools of theology, from an approved list. Now, you will have, I guess I could say this, you will have liberal graduate schools of theology on that list, like Bright. You will have conservative theological institutions, like Asbury. You'll have those in between, like Perkins. Presbyteries approve that. The board will not. The Board of Theological Education will not make that determination. So that is the huge difference that I think answers your question. Does that answer your question?
I think it does for the most part, yes. Thank you for your clarification. Thank you.
Nice save, Neil, by the way.
I'm Lucas Stevens from Murfreesboro Presbytery. I'm sorry to jolt in, but you guys are talking about the huge changes that is being made to the system. My brain just was like, ding, ding, ding. Didn't you say that there aren't very many big changes? That's why it legally doesn't apply? Just a few minutes ago. That's confusing me. How does that?
Yeah, it is confusing. Legally wise, the charter is just being amended. So as a legal entity, it's very few changes. Educationally wise, yes, we're making big changes in the way that education will be going forward. So yes, there are big changes, and no, there's not big changes.
Okay,
it is
like,
confusing.
Said something in my head. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you.
I'm going to test the waters, Mr. Moderator, by making an amendment to recommendation number 8.
Say your name, please, for us.
Alan Meinzer from Arkansas Presbytery.
Thank you.
The amendment to recommendation 8 will start where it says at least 6 of the directors.
Okay.
The amendment will read, at least 6 of the directors shall be ordained ministers currently serving a CP church, serving as a chaplain, or serving within a CP denominational entity. And at least 3 of the directors shall be lay leaders who are currently active members of a CP church. The 3 remaining members shall also follow the above criteria for ministers and lay leaders.
Is there a second? Second. Okay. So the amendment has been made and seconded to recommendation 8. I will restate that for us. Recommendation 8, and this is following the next to last line there, where at least 6 of the directors shall be ordained ministers currently serving in a CP church, serving as a chaplain, or serving within a denominational entity. At least 3 of the directors shall be lay leaders who are currently active members of a CP church. The 3 remaining members shall also follow the above criteria for ministers and lay leaders. So this is the amendment on the floor. That's what we'll be speaking to at this time.
Hello, Mr. Moderator. Jerry Sperling, Covenant Presbytery. I just have a question about the previously mentioned subject.
Well, we're addressing the amendment on the floor right now.
Yes.
So that's what we're. Okay.
Keith Ing, Red River Presbytery. So the amendment, does that then exclude the way it was read, retired ministers from being on that board?
The way it is read, yes, the writer of the amendment states. Any further discussion on the amendment?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, sir.
call your attention to bylaw 10.02, election and tenure, eligibility status to serve on denominational board and entities, referencing denominational staff persons, staff are ineligible to serve on any denominational entity.
So no denominational staff is allowed to serve. I think this amendment would also speak to those that are not currently serving churches, though that's what you're including here, correct? Dusty, I think she rose first, so.
Reverend Dusty Luthi, representing Red River Presbytery. I'm speaking in denial of the amendment. It excludes a wide variety of ministers serving within our denomination who have had calls that have been presbyterially approved, who are active in pursuing their own call from God, and it negates an entire spiritual movement on behalf of ministers and lay leaders. Considering what active lay leader looks like, that is subjective. We cannot even define that in our own annual reports in some cases, and so I speak in denial of the subjectivity of the amendment.
Thank you.
Jerry Scott, East Tennessee Presbytery. I am speaking in, I thought I was.
There you go. There, you're a little closer down there.
Jerry Scott, East Tennessee Presbytery. I also speak against the amendment. I am recently retired and thinking that now I have the opportunity more to serve on some of the boards and agencies, and I kind of resent being left out of that.
Right.
Mr. Moderator, Reverend Ryan Young from Hope Presbytery. I would also like to speak against the amendment, simply for the reason in our presbyteries, we rely on the wisdom of retired ministers quite often. They are still voting members of our body, and I think it would be a disservice to our church to negate that wisdom and make this narrow pathway for representation upon one of our educational boards. That seems a little misguided to me, and I hope we'll consider that.
All right,
thank you.
Mr. Moderator, Elder Mo Ottinger, Elder Commissioner Robert Donald Presbytery, if I just wanted to make a point of clarification to make sure I've got it right in my head with the reference to 10.02, sub 01 already says, unless elected as an ecumenical representative, no person shall be qualified to serve except a member in good standing in a presbytery or local congregation of the Cumberland Presbyterian Church. Now, I don't know enough about the retired standing of ministers. If someone is honorably retired, are they still covered under that point? They are still a member. So
yes.
My view on this would be that pretty much covers it. Just wanted to make that comment.
Any other comments? Call for the question. Second. All in favor of proceeding to vote on the amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Yes. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Any opposed, say no. No. Internationals, ready to vote? To the body, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. No. The amendment fails. So we're back to the report as a whole. Okay, yeah.
Mr. Moderator, Jerry Sperling, Covenant Presbytery. Mr. Blakeburn said that it would be up to the presbyteries to decide on a seminary during this time, and I was just curious if there was a place that was in writing that that's going to be the practice.
Mr. Moderator, presbyteries are in charge of the ordination of their candidates, therefore they direct their education as well. It would be a requirement of their ordination.
Did you? Any other questions, comments? just make a note for you as far as recommendation 4 with those names placed being elected here. They would be elected when we get to nominations later on. They are not, that's not part of the nominations. When you vote on this, these would be the people elected on this board. So we wouldn't go back later, just make note of that. All right, are we all ready to proceed to vote on the report and adopt its recommendations?
I may have misunderstood.
Would you please come to the mic?
Ron McMillan, Cornerstone Presbytery. Just clarification, I did not understand your last thing. Maybe I wasn't listening well. You're saying that when we vote on this, we elect these people.
These are the people that would be elected to this board.
So there won't
yes.
be a chance later to do any nominations?
Correct.
I just wanted to understand. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, Yads, are you ready to proceed to vote? So all in favor of receiving this report, adopting its recommendations, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Internationals, are we ready? Okay, everybody understand what we're at? All right, we're ready to adopt this report, receive the report, adopt its recommendations. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, and so I believe that was unanimous. That fulfills the 2/3 requirement on the changes to the bylaws as well. So thank you for your work. Thank you, committee, for your work as well.
Mr. Moderator, point of personal privilege, please.
Yes, sir.
I would like to have Reverend Michael Qualls recognized by the chair.
Absolutely. Dr. Qualls.
Great to be with you. That was a marvelous effort by a lot of people for a long period of time. Just so that everybody's clear, nothing about what we just did changes anything about our Constitution, the requirement for education, et cetera. It is the same as it always has been. We're going to be working at it really hard in a lot of different ways. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and recognize the president of Memphis Theological Seminary, Reverend Dr. Jody Hill, for the tremendous job and self-sacrifice that he has made to get us here, and to take note that although he is named as a person who will continue to be employed post July 31st, he will drop down to 1 day a week. He'll be part-time employed. It's not going to be a full-time employment there, and I wanted to acknowledge, please acknowledge his presence. And thank you. And we forgot to give away the last framed print of the Founders Hall of Memphis Theological Seminary yesterday at our luncheon. And so I would like the clerk or someone designated by the clerk down there to reach into our registration cards and pull one out. Announce the winner.
Oh, this is so good. This lady is an absolute mess. Miss Kathy Allen from Cumberland Presbytery. Thank you, committee, for your hard work and your diligent effort this week. Thank you all. You can be seated. All right. Well, as much as I know y'all would just like to push on through and get on done, I'm hungry. So we're going to take a break for recess for lunch. We're going to break for 2 hours. So we will reconvene at 2:15. We'll meet for our judicial report and our nominations report. So go enjoy a time of lunch and fellowship together, and we'll reconvene at 2:15.